Hi all, welcome and welcome back to my channel. If you're following the case of 13-year-old MADELINE Soto out of Florida, then you've probably been waiting for more information to come out about the case, since Stephan Stearns was charged with her unaliving not too long ago, and we were informed that the medical examiner's report will not be made public. Well, we finally got some new information, now that Stephan Stearns' defense has elected to participate in the discovery process. And it's the kind of information that's going to make you sorry you asked for it at all. Because it's sick, twisted, cringeworthy, and disgusting. And it's just the beginning of the information that's going to be released in this case. So before you continue on in this video, consider yourself warned. I won't be sharing one single bit of information in this video that you're going to want to hear. I don't even want to report it. But I already called it in my deep dive video into this case that I posted a while ago. So as awful as it is to hear come out now, I'm not surprised. Not one single bit. Because in that video, I gave my opinion about what I thought happened to Precious Maddie, including the relationship between her and her mother, Jen Soto, and what her mother was allowing to happen to her in their home. And now, we have new information that has recently been released about the case that has Jen confirming that what I believe happened was in fact happening. So if you watched my deep dive video and thought maybe I was too hard on Jen, you might want to pour yourself a nice stiff drink before you hear what she admitted to police. 'Cause it's going to floor you. Then again, maybe a good stiff drink isn't a good idea, since it's probably going to make you sick as well. But before I continue on in this video with my hate affair with Jen Soto, I want to play a clip for you of the Florida State Attorney talking about why it took so long to charge Stearns with Madeline's unaliving, and whether or not they plan to pursue the death penalty in this case. Then, I want to play a second clip that talks about how Jen Soto's old phone number has now been disconnected. Shocker.
There are many decisions still to come with the investigation into MADELINE Soto's death. So tonight, State Attorney for Orange and Osceola counties, Andrew Bain, is joining us in studio. So first, let's start with what went into the decision to file these first-degree murder charges today, and why did it take 7 weeks to add them?
All right. Well, first of all, good evening. How are you?
Very good.
And want to say is Denim Day for Sexual Violence Awareness Month and awareness. So definitely wanted to give a shout out to our VSC family, the Victim Service Center, and all the work that they're doing for our victims in our community. It took a good time, but it wasn't as long as it usually is. So a death investigation usually takes around 5 to 6 weeks at a minimum. Sometimes it can be really long. And so this we were able to get done about 7.5 weeks. We looked at all the evidence that we were able to collect from all the different scenes that were involved in this case. And then we were able to present that to the grand jury and return a first-degree murder indictment.
Can you give us any information about what went into the first-degree murder charge?
Well, I can only tell you what's in the indictment right now. So the law prohibits us from disclosing facts of the case until the defendant has the opportunity to engage in discovery if he chooses to do so.
So let's talk about the death penalty. What factors will go into whether or not this becomes a death penalty case or not?
So there are certain statutory aggravators that are in our Florida statutes that allow us to seek the death penalty. And so we have to make sure that we have those aggravators before we even have the conversation. But even after once we have those aggravators, we have to make sure that the mitigators don't outweigh the aggravators. And we have to just then make a decision about whether we're going to give the people a chance to elect that option if they would like.
Is there any sort of timeline for that, of when you'll make that decision?
Well, it has to be done 45 days after his arraignment.
Okay.
So there's still like several weeks before we get to that point. He probably should be at initial appearances in the next day or two, and then he'll move to an arraignment date a few weeks after that. And then after that point, that's when the clock really starts running.
So let's talk about the new information that we've learned, us as the public today, about this case. that Maddie's body was dumped before she was even reported missing. Do you expect to file more charges against other people? Will there be additional arrests in this case?
Well, right now it's an open, ongoing investigation. Stephan Stearns is our main suspect in that investigation, and obviously all the charges are directed towards him at this moment. And so we're going to continue to work the case and see where it goes.
This case has gotten a lot of attention, particularly because of what it appears she has been through the last few years. Can you give us some insight into what Madeline Soto's life was like the last couple of years and maybe what her final moments were like?
I can't tell you a lot about the facts of all the cases. I can tell you based on obviously the number of charges that we've had to charge Mr. Stearns with. It was pretty horrific and violent past and life and existence for her for the last several years.
What do you want the public to know about your office and what it's doing for this case?
We're doing everything we can to bring justice for Madeline Soto, for her family, for our community, so we can have that closure that we all want to have and be safe in our community. So that's why the thing that our office is always going to do. We're always going to look and make sure that we're addressing the most violent offenders in our community, and we're making sure that we're going to keep our community safe from those violent people when we have the opportunity to do so.
All right, State Attorney, thank you so much for joining.
Live team coverage continues now with Fox 35's Hannah McKenzie.
And Hannah, you spoke with a member of the Soto family today. What did they have to say?
Well, John Luann, just before our newscast, I spoke with Maddie Soto's aunt, Stephanie Soto. She tells me the family was told about Stephan Stearns' murder charge just a few hours before it was publicly announced. She says this is all extremely difficult, and the hardest part is the waiting, having no real closure or answers as to why this happened. Stephanie Soto also gave us this statement. It reads in part, quote, "The Soto family continues to mourn the devastating loss of Maddie. We trust that the prosecutors and detectives are working diligently to bring justice for Maddie." Now, I also reached out to Maddie's mother, Jen. The phone number I have for her, though, has since been disconnected. So this is video from the first time I spoke with Jen Soto. This was taken back on February 27th, the day after Maddie was reported missing to law enforcement. You can see that man circled in the background there. That is Stephan Stearns. His behavior during our interview actually prompted us to reach out to a body language expert who broke down his mannerisms. That expert pointed out his fidgeting and knuckle cracking, saying those were signs of deception. This interview happened just one day before Stearns was arrested and named prime suspect in Maddie's disappearance. Now that he is charged with her murder, we also reached out to Maddie's father and stepmother to see how they're coping with this newest development. We got a statement on behalf of Tyler and Tatiana Wallace. It reads, quote, "They are heartbroken by the tragic loss of their daughter. Maddie's passing has left them shattered, but their resolve for justice remains unwavering."
So, Jen Soto ran and hid and disconnected her phone when the shit hit the fan. And we haven't heard a single word from her since her boyfriend was arrested. Because that's what an innocent person does, right? They run and hide and disconnect their phone so they don't have to answer for anything and their involvement in any of it. Instead of going public or making a statement about how sad and utterly disgusted they are to find out that their child was abused by someone they trusted. And they're devastated that they didn't know and couldn't have saved their child. And hope the POS rots in prison, or in hell, or both, for what he did. But I can't really say I blame her for disconnecting her phone. I mean, she already knew nobody was believing the BS she was selling, in my opinion. And she knew once her sick, twisted hubby was charged with Madeline's murder, the focus was going to turn onto her and her involvement. And I find it very interesting that this news clip talks about Stearns' behavior in the background during Jen's interview, and that they found his behavior so strange that they hired a body language expert to determine if he was displaying guilty behavior or not. They focus completely on him in the background, while Jen is sitting up front, lying directly to their faces. Yes, she's emotionless and has given 5 inconsistent statements and admitted she isn't even going to go out and look for her missing 13-year-old daughter, but Stearns is walking around in the background cracking his knuckles, so we better take a closer look at him. Which, of course, police were going to do, since he claimed he was the one who dropped Maddie off for school that morning. Something we now know never happened. Now, I know I always remind y'all that I'm not law enforcement, a detective, or anything. But I have been covering missing kids cases for long enough now to be able to comfortably share a few things I've picked up along the way with you. Number one, when a child goes missing and a parent isn't losing his or her mind, they're involved. Number two, when a parent makes inconsistent statements about what happened, lies, or fake cries for the cameras, they're involved. And three, when a parent or parents don't bother to search for their missing child, it's because they know their child isn't missing. How often do you search for something that isn't missing? You don't, and neither do they. This little bit of information that you probably already know, because it's just common sense, will also come in handy if you're following the Sebastian Rogers missing child case as well. And not only did Jen Soto herself tell reporters that she and Stearns didn't look for Maddie, but you'll also hear Stearns admit that they didn't bother to search for her as well in the newly released information. Why didn't they search for Maddie, even though Jen said she believed she had been abducted? Because she knew she hadn't been, and that she wasn't missing, and that she was already unalived at that point and dumped in a field 22 miles away.
So you think that she's been taken against her will?
I do think so, yes.
As a mom, what's your mother's intuition telling you right now?
I'm trying to hope for the best, but I'm scared for her. I want her to be okay and I want her to be safe. I don't want her to come back harmed. I just want her back, whatever that means.
Where do you go now? Are you gonna go out there and search or look, or are you sticking by the phone? Are you what are you doing?
I'm staying at home, staying by the phone, hoping she just appears.
You're listening to Stephan Stearns' voice as he was being interviewed by detectives on February 27th, one day after 13-year-old MADELINE Soto disappeared. Stearns, the boyfriend of Maddie's mother, was supposed to drop her off at Hunters Creek Middle School, but said she wanted to be dropped off a couple of blocks away.
She's got this phase that she's been into lately where she's very particular about what car she's seen getting out of in front of the school. She said she was going to go wait for her friends. She was going to find them and hang out and wait for her friends.
But Maddie never arrived at school. Video evidence would later, allegedly, show Stearns discarding items that included Maddie's backpack and laptop computer in a dumpster at the family's Kissimmee apartment complex, and detectives later obtained security camera images that appear to show Maddie was already dead inside the car. During the recorded interview, Stearns expressed sadness at Maddie's disappearance.
At that point, my brain was mush, and I was on so many tranquilizers to keep me stable. It's just.
Do you usually take that, or?
Yeah, I have a prescription. I haven't needed it in a long time, though. But.
What's that for?
Anxiety.
But in the same interview, he said neither he nor Maddie's mother were out searching the night she disappeared. And he gave this explanation about why most of the information on his phone was deleted.
I don't know what the heck I did, but somehow during the massive OS update, I managed to factory reset my phone and lose all of my contacts, all my information.
Investigators would later retrieve images from the phone that prompted the initial charges against Stearns of sexual battery on a child under 12. Strangely, he had this concluding comment to detectives.
I don't know where my head was yesterday. It was so far up my backside.
But that wasn't all, Stearns told police. Police released the audio from the interview they conducted with Stearns on February 27th, the day after they claimed Maddie went missing, and one day before he was arrested. And believe it or not, He added even more to the BS story of what happened the morning he and Jen claimed he, whatever, dropped Madeline off in front of the church. He told police they got up extra early that morning because he was going to take Maddie to McDonald's for breakfast on the way to school. Then he adds to the story again, saying he had to return to Maddie's apartment with her still in the car because he forgot the gate clicker when police confront him about why his car was spotted driving in a different direction that morning than what he originally told them. Mind you, he didn't know yet that police were already obtaining videos of him disposing of Maddie's backpack and laptop in a dumpster, and him returning to the apartment building with Maddie in the car, believed to already be deceased. So, their never-ending, ever-changing story about what happened that morning was still being changed and added to up until Stern's arrest. Here's the audio of the interview police held with Stephan Stearns, as provided by and courtesy of Court TV, so you can hear what the freak had to say to them for yourself.
I know that you already spoke to the other detective, right, about everything that kind of happened today. If you can just kind of go over it with us one more time, the timeline from like when you guys woke up and took her to school and all that.
So we woke up early. The plan was that we were going to get McDonald's breakfast on the way, so we made amazingly good time getting
I don't mean
out
to
the door.
interrupt you, okay? Neither of us were here yesterday, so if you can be kind of like specific about like times and stuff like that, okay?
Woke up around 7:15, somewhere around there, which is an early start for us, but we had talked about getting McDonald's breakfast beforehand, so we wanted to make good time. We did make good time. We got out the door maybe 7:30ish, 7:45ish, maybe. Got over to that area. She was asleep in the car most of the time, just snoozing until we got there. We got to McDonald's, or close to McDonald's. I said, "You still want it?" She wasn't interested in the McDonald's anymore, so we continued on. And she wanted to be dropped off a little down the ways from the school. She's got this phase that she's been into lately where she's very particular about what car she's seen getting out of in front of the school. She prefers her mom's car, but my cars are, I guess, kind of hoopties. I get it. It's an image thing. But that was sometime probably between 8:20 and 8:40-ish. Somewhere in there. It was along the stretch of the road that on the right side that has all the communities on it. Before you get to the overpass. You could see the overpass from where it was. So it was on that side, on that stretch of road, and that's where I dropped her off. She said she was going to go wait for her friends. She was going to go find them and hang out and wait for her friends. And I asked if that was going to be okay. She said, "Yeah, it's fine." Kids get dropped off early enough as it is. It's not totally unusual for that to happen. It's just not usually that early that I drop her off. I do school runs every once in a while for her. I said, "Okay. Let her out. Have a good day. Love you. Thanks. Love you too." And I turned around and was driving away and was watching her in my rearview mirror to make sure that she was going where we're supposed to go, and she was moving in that direction, but she was rummaging around in her backpack for something. What I assumed was probably headphones or something like that, but I found out later that she forgot her phone here, so she may have been rummaging for her phone. But she was still kind of making her way towards that direction, so it looked okay. It looked like any other day, and I just continued on.
After you dropped her off, what did you do?
They had talked to her for a minute. I made sure, is it all right that you're going early? Because it was still early. And she said, "Yeah, it's fine. I'm going to hang out and wait for my friends to get there," which she does sometimes, so it didn't sound, outrageous or anything. And that was it. Told her to have a good day. I loved her. She told me she loved me too. I turned around to leave, and I was watching her in my rearview mirror. And she looked like she was walking in the right direction. She was rummaging in her bag a little bit, like I said, but still sort of just shambling in the right direction while she was doing it. So it looked normal. It looked okay.
Okay, and then what did you do after you left the area?
I left to go to the local vape shop because I needed some more vape juice. They weren't quite open yet, so I ended up going back home. Waited about an hour or so and then went back and checked the vape shop again. It was open, so I got what I needed there and came back.
Do you remember what time you came home?
The first time was probably right around 10, close to it. And then I waited here and went back to the vape shop. Probably finished at the vape shop and came back home again a little after 11.
And then what'd you do after that?
I had a couple errands to run over on 192. She was talking about making a BJ shopping list. She just wanted to make sure I was back in time for us to both go pick up. So I was visiting some card shops around the area on 192. I'm kind of a nerd, so we had a new trading card game release, and I was seeing what the situation was with it.
Do you remember what places you visited?
Yeah, Coliseum of Comics. Stopped by a couple Targets, and I was going to go to House Rules Games down by Oak and 192. But I didn't make it that far. I got a flat tire on the way.
Do you remember where you got your flat tire?
It was on 192. I pulled into one of those plazas somewhere. It's been about 10 years since I switched out a tire, though, so I made a lot of rookie mistakes and ended up pinning my thumb between the frame and the jack. Yeah, I'm lucky it's not a lot worse than it could have been. Remains to be seen if I'll keep.
Do you remember the name of the plaza by any chance? Do you remember like what stores were in this plaza?
It was like right before you got to Oak, though, so it was one of those little strips.
Okay.
I don't know, you've probably been asked already, but she's never ran away or been away for longer than a certain period of time, amount of time, nothing like that?
No, she's very dependent on us. I don't think she'd know what to do if she did run away. She's not the type. She's a good kid.
Besides the ADHD, is she diagnosed with anything else?
Yeah, she was tested a while back and had some symptoms of autism, so she's potentially on the spectrum there.
Okay.
She was officially diagnosed with it when she was younger, and then she was retested and said, well, she shows symptoms of being on the spectrum, but maybe not full-on autistic.
When did you come back to help? Pardon?
Yeah. What do you mean?
Like, because you live down south, right? When did you come back up north to help her?
I just got here this weekend.
Do you remember what day it was?
Sunday was her birthday party, so yeah, it was the evening after her birthday party, Sunday.
Okay. Do you remember what time you got here on Sunday?
8:30ish, maybe.
Okay.
Just in time to make sure that she was doing all her nighttime routines. I'm waiting for her mom to get home.
Did you guys go anywhere last night? Was that media?
Maybe. I think Fox 35 or something was coming.
If it is, let me tell him he needs to take it down.
Okay.
I don't recall. You have to ask her if we went anywhere. I don't recall. I was so zonked out on Ativan at that point.
Okay.
It said it was a wreck. I don't think...
And this would have been when?
Yes, thank you.
I don't recall us going anywhere last night, but honestly, at that point my brain was mush and I was on so many tranquilizers to keep me stable. It's just...
You said Ativan?
Yeah.
You make a U-turn, you go back to the McDonald's, but you said that she still doesn't want the McDonald's.
Still doesn't want it. She was just going to eat the Danishes that I had given her.
So you're going up here now, still northbound on Jongyang Parkway. You make a left at Town Center this time.
Town Center, then make a right onto, yes.
And then you drop her off around like...
Dropped her off around halfway up the road there.
Okay. So keep in mind, all of this is still northbound.
Okay.
Right? You're still northbound on Jongyang Parkway.
Northbound.
So why is your car seen going southbound at 8:10? I'll show you what location it is. bounces over here. At 8:10, your car is seen going southbound at this intersection. So meaning going toward Kissimmee.
I had forgotten something. I had forgotten my gate clicker. I'm sorry. I forgot. I had gone back to the house real quick after we left because I forgot my gate clicker. I actually had to go through the front gate and use my parking pass to grab my clicker. So it was the wrong time. I'm sorry. Like I said, I was guesstimating these times. I'm not a morning person.
I don't think I have any other questions. Do you, Louis?
I don't know where my head was yesterday. It was so far up my backside.
That's okay. We understand. In the meantime, while we're waiting for all this to get sorted out, I am going to hold on to your phone, okay? I'll give it back to you when we're done. Okay? Do you have any questions for us?
How long are you going to need my phone?
I'm not sure. I'm waiting for my supervisor to call me.
My dad. No, it's just my dad's using that to get a hold of me and get updates.
They can call Jen's phone.
Okay.
Did the other detective give you his business card?
I believe so.
Okay, well, here's mine in case you want it for any reason.
Okay.
Okay? Do you swear that everything you told us is true?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Thanks for your time. We appreciate it. I know it's a little hectic right now.
He's such a scumbag. Lying to police, trying to save his and Jen's asses. But I'm not so sure Jen can save hers for much longer. Because not only does she have a lot of explaining to do to police about why she didn't bother to search for her precious daughter and why she gave such strange, inconsistent, and conflicting reports to the media, but she also has the tiny itty-bitty problem of the sworn statement she made to police that said she saw Madeline alive and well, getting dressed for school around 8 a.m. on the morning she claims she disappeared. When she already told the news she last saw Maddie the night before when she went to bed. And police already have video of Stearns dumping Maddie's belongings in the dumpster before 8 a.m. and video of Maddie's deceased body in Stearns' car when he returns to the apartment complex shortly after 8 a.m. But that's not the only problem Jen Soto has with her lies. And this is where it's going to get really creepy. And you aren't going to like what I'm going to tell you. But, like I said, I called it in my deep dive video. In my opinion, there is no way Jen didn't know what her boyfriend was doing to Madeline. And court documents revealed that Jen told police that it was normal. Let me say that again. That it was normal for Maddie to sleep with Jen and Stephan Stearns in the same bed. And when Jen needed a good night's sleep, she told police, and I can't even believe I'm going to say this. She told police she would tell Maddie and Stearns to go sleep in another bed without her.
This case is becoming more disturbing as we move closer to trial.
It is, and it's important to point out up front, Stearns is the only one charged with sexual assaults and murder. Madeline Soto's mother has not been charged in connection with any of the crimes that her boyfriend is facing. And as you'll see right now, she provides details that helped police build their case. Documents obtained from the state attorney's office reveal that Stephan Stearns had an on-again, off-again 7-year relationship with Madeline Soto's mother. Those documents also indicate the pornographic images allegedly found on Stearns' cell phone date back at least 2 years and depict vile acts of sexual abuse. In March, detectives provided sworn statements of their discussions with Jennifer Soto and Stephan Stearns. Jennifer Soto stated, while they were together, they, Jennifer, Stephen, and Madeline, would either all sleep in the same bed or Madeline would sleep with her when Stephan was not there. When asked if it was normal that Stephan and Madeline would sleep together without her being there, and she said yes. Jennifer Soto stated if she needed a good night's sleep due to her anxiety, she would ask them, Stephan and MADELINE, to sleep in a different bedroom. In another statement, Stephan stated MADELINE always needed human contact when going to sleep. Stephan referred to it as snuggling.
And I'd bet Jen thought it was just adorable that Stearns called it snuggling. What a sick bitch. I call it 20 to life. But that's just me. Still think Jen didn't know now? So, who was Stephan Stearns in the relationship with? Jen or Maddie? Because it sounds to me like his sick, twisted self thought he was in a relationship with Maddie. Or he at least preferred Maddie, that's for sure. So, why would he kill her? Jen's got a lot of explaining to do. And I really hope, really hope, that she's not behind bars yet, because the police need her to make their case right now. And I hope she keeps talking to them and telling them what a low-life POS she is, allowing Stearns access to her daughter just so she could say she had a boyfriend, which she didn't. She had an evil piece of garbage who knew how desperate and pathetic she was, and he used it to gain access to her kid. But she allowed it all in her own home, right under her own nose. And it's only a matter of time until police get all they need from her, and it's her turn next. Until that happy day, my hate affair with Jen Soto will continue, because I'm not looking past her. I'm laser focused right on her. And I'll be praying that precious MADELINE Soto is resting in peace. Thank you so very much for watching. I appreciate you. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you on my next video.